Welcome, everybody, to the Between Two Wheels podcast. We're doing the Vuelta edition. It's been a while. We've got someone in the lead who we should be talking about, and I haven't done a single episode. So we'll talk about that. Stages 1 through 11 are complete. We've got a time trial. We've got an American in the lead, people. Let's talk about it. But first, how about a Tour de France intro?
Massive number of people have been upgrading. Yes,
there you go. You see the graceful limb that you were talking about before.
The race we've got yet again, and a victor then goes victory to an American, Andy Hampton.
The felt it go by. He looks at the Colombian rider. How are you doing?
Straight past Santiago Patero, and he's coming up to Pantani.
Armstrong is sitting in the last few hundred meters as we come towards the finish of this monumental stage. And
as we start to approach the line now, Pantani grits his teeth and accelerates and over the line.
Is going now to win stage number 15. Sepp Kuss, an emotional finish from Durango in the USA. Sepp Kuss wins.
I should probably update the intro. I think I'm playing right now, but it's not doing it. So I'll have to update the intro to do a Vuelta analysis, or, some stages. I've got to do some, but I thought before we did that, I'd give you a quick update on me. Sometime mid-August, I was doing some working out, and I'm pretty sure I bulged a disc or herniated a disc or ruptured it or something. And it's been problematic. So I'm finally getting into the doctor, been doing some things. So just sitting at my desk like this is painful. So that's what I have going on for me. So I thought, look, we have Sepp Kuss does the Giro, does an outstanding job for Remco. I'm sorry, Remco. Primož Roglic wins that. Obviously, Roglic wins that in the final time trial over Geraint Thomas. And Sepp does an exceptional final time trial. I did an analysis of that too. I broke that one down because I think it's important when we get into kind of the stage 9 yesterday of Sepp Kuss doing a time trial and his abilities to do so, right? So what you have from there, I did a breakdown because I had the time checks. There was a flat portion, 8 or so 9 miles prior to the climb, and he did well. He was actually doing well, and then Sepp blows up the final climb in a good way. And I think he was like 6th or so overall. He was in the hot seat, remember, for a little bit. So he did great. Now it's at the end of a 3-week tour. He does great. He pulls out a time trial. He does a decent overall GC, for Sepp Kuss. Goes into the Tour de France. Now he's top 10. He's been doing great work for Vingegaard. Vingegaard obviously goes on and wins it. There's a time trial there. Sepp Kuss actually does fairly decent in that. And going up the Col de la Loze stage, Sepp Kuss has a bad day. And I don't know if he has a bad day so much as maybe it was planned. Just the dynamics that took place there were differently. And Vingegaard goes up the road. Sepp loses a decent amount of time, kind of drops from, I think, 6th to like 10th or 9th or so. And with that, kind of sets himself up. Well, he's still looking to be in the top 10. Still talking about the Tour de France here. With that, he has a bad crash on stage, like 1920 or so, cuts his face up pretty good, drops out kind of from the top 10. I think he was 11th or so, 12th. And we'll break that down as to where he exactly was there. So with that in mind, now we have the Vuelta. He's doing 3 Grand Tours. This is something only Adam Hansen typically does, used to do. He was a rider from Australia. He's actually head of the Riders Union type of thing. And he was famous for just doing, he said he wouldn't really train much. He would just do Grand Tours. That's all. That's all he would do. So stellar. Good for him. No one's really in here yet, and I really hope this is the audio is coming through just fine. Yeah, it looks like it is. Okay, so with that in mind, now we come into the Vuelta, and you have so the Vuelta sets up to be kind of an amazing thing. You don't have Pogacar, but you have Primož Roglic, who just won the Giro, who won the Vuelta in 2020, 2021, was it 2019 as well? He hasn't won the Tour de France. Came very close there in 2020, COVID year. Just gets beat by Pogacar. You had last year, you had Jonas Vingegaard, who won the Tour last year. He won the Tour this year. You have Roglic, who won the Giro this year. You have Geraint Thomas, who was second in the Giro, to only getting beat on the time trial to Roglic this year in the Giro, who's won the Tour de France before. And then you have Remco Evenepoel, who was leading the Giro. He's been world champion. He won Liège-Bastogne-Liège. Multiple times. San Sebastian, 2 or 3 times now, and won the Vuelta last year. So Roglic had some difficulties last year, didn't win the Vuelta because did he crash out or got sick? I don't remember which one it was, or just didn't do well. We'll take a look at the results here, and so this race is setting up to be quite exceptional. And now what you have 11 stages through, I'm just breaking it to you here. It's Sepp Kuss in the lead. So now Sepp is put into a place where he has to watch his P's and Q's all the time as far as like being up in the front. And I think it's important. I think this was the best scenario going into one of these races, because Sepp has said over and over, everyone's like, GC Kuss, it's been quite the thing. And everyone's saying, hey, can he ride for the Grand Tours? This said in the Giro when he destroys everybody on the climbs. It's said in the Tour over and over years ago. It's said in the Vuelta because he's done that one as well. Remember, all the 7 Grand Tours that the Jumbo-Visma team has won since their reinception from the Rabobank to now Jumbo have been under the guise of one person consistent there, which is Sepp Kuss. He's been in the Vuelta wins for Roglic. Remember that first year that Roglic won it, he had Sepp and Nilsson Powless. Then he's been in the Giro for Roglic just recently, and he's been in the Tour victories for Vingegaard, and he's been in all the Vueltas as well. So he's been the one key ingredient, and yeah, they make a joke, Roglic actually does, about, oh, you can't win a Grand Tour without Sepp. Perhaps so. So the question has always been, can Sepp Kuss be a Grand Tour winner himself, or even a leader? And he's kind of said, hey, I don't really want that mantle. Maybe if I went in as co-leader with a sprinter so I didn't have the pressure on him. This race has put him into the lead, and we'll talk about how it got there. Well, it was stage 6 win. He gets up in a break. He's got 3 teammates, I think, with him at the time, and he destroys the last climb, just gets rid of everybody there, comes into the lead, and then actually takes the stage win. Lemmy Martinez comes in, has the GC lead, but then the next few days, Sepp is able to pop him off, and they're get over on him, and Sepp stays up with the front group, and he comes into the race leader's jersey. It's the perfect way. You've got Vingegaard, who's not quite on top form. You've got Roglic in there, who's looking superb. So the pressure isn't really there, because if something goes wrong, he's even said it. He had a time trial yesterday, and he did exceptionally well. And he's like, I had no pressure. I'm in a position where, and so my point of this being, you're going to get more pressure as the time goes on, but I don't think you're going to feel like you're letting down your team. One, you've done more than enough over the last few years to be, and matter of fact, I was watching the 2020 race. I think it was stage 12 up the Angliru of the Vuelta, and where Roglic is having trouble. That's where he barely beats Carapaz, and he does a great job at the end. Sepp Kuss kind of lets him down over the Cotovia, the stage, 19 or 18. That was a little bit reduced because of COVID. So they only did, I think, 17 or 18 stages. Point is, that stage, he loses 20-some seconds to Carapaz over the top there. But Sepp Kuss saved him on the Angliru. He's just sitting up the whole time. You can tell Roglic is having a difficult time. He's kind of waning in the last parts of that tour. And Sepp Kuss does everything he can to keep him up front, and it looked fantastic with him up the Angliru. Point being is, there's been points during these stages over the careers of these Grand Tours that Sepp has been there where he's more than helped win, save the day for the team. So with that in mind, and by the way, not only just like saved times, but he's gone to the front and destroyed people, allowing his team leaders to get more time as well. So he's put them in the offensive, he's helped them on the defensive, and he's more than made his money for that team, and they are more than indebted to him. Point being, if he goes into this and he starts to falter. Because what we've got to look through is 3-week Grand Tour. There's 3 of them we have going on: the Giro, the Tour de France, and the Vuelta a España, the Tour of Spain. And with that, Sepp Kuss is doing these 3, right? He's doing 3 of these for the season, and for the season. And with that, he may have some fatigue that really sets in. And with that fatigue, it could be a problem, coming up the later part. Sepp has always been a good rider in the last few stages of the Vuelta, the Tour de France, the Giro this year. So he's not one of those riders. This is why we've talked about, hey, could he be a GC rider? But he's sat up at times too. But I will say this, the thing that's different too now is he gets to feather his way up these climbs. He's never been in that opportunity. He's always had where he goes and he lights it on fire and he blows himself out. And then this is one thing I brought up multiple times this year for the Tour de France, which was he would drop everybody but Yates, Pogacar, Vingegaard, and then they would go on up the road, or sometimes it was Yates. And anyway, but then he would sit up, and then with Rodriguez, he would like come in. So he was always in that next tier. And I'm like, if he isn't required to be doing all this work, he's going to be fresher to be able to sit there and go with them. And he still looked pretty good. So I think his ability now, and we'll walk through all the stages and kind of talk about this, but I think he's in a good position to actually be a lot of trouble for Remco. And I think Remco, before the time trial, Remco said, he's just an outsider. I don't really think much about him, basically thinking he's going to put in 2 minutes on him on the time trial. And when he didn't do that, now he says, oh yeah, I'm a little worried. Because he can climb. And Sepp Kuss just likely won't have the bad. No, we don't know. We don't know what's really going to happen. So it'll be, I think the thing that could bring Sepp Kuss down would be his own team, where they're trying to play the dynamics and they're going for the cutthroat. And to do so, they're going to launch one guy while launching another one, in the effect of trying to get rid of Remco and possibly blow 2 riders up to spring one rider. And he may not be that rider that gets sprung, right? I'm thinking Roglic. And the reason I'm thinking that is because you've just seen a little bit of Roglic has not put a step wrong. He's been better in the time trial. He has been a little bit better on the climbs. Vingegaard has had a little bit of a trouble. You can just tell he's not quite where Roglic is. And in the last time trial, he wasn't where Vingegaard usually is. So that's the only reason I'm saying that. But when these big long climbs come, you never know. Also, Sepp Kuss does really well over multiple stage and tough climbs. That's the one way that the Roglic team and Vingegaard, I think that's where their strength lies, and that's where they were trying to get rid of Pogacar during the Tour de France, was the multiple stages of multiple climbs, the heavy duty stuff. We just went through stage 11 today, and it looked like super easy for the GC riders, and you're like, it was boring. Okay, but with the boredom is a benefit to Sepp. It's just one less day where he has to basically be put in charge and to be able to hit him. Okay, so let's go right to the start of the Vuelta here. It was a stupid stage 1 that they had, which was to put the riders into a position where they're going late at night. There's rain. It's a team time trial, and DSM comes out on top. Now, DSM comes on top. You've got movies. Let's go to is this the results here? Okay, stage 1 results. DSM does come on top, but I thought, Soudal, there they are, 4th place. So you had Movistar, EF, Soudal for Remco. They did fine. Groupama, I don't know. There was something that happened to Team Jumbo along the way where they were sitting up and then they were waiting. I don't know if it was like a mechanical with what's his name? Vingegaard, I think is what happened there. Where are they? There they are. So they came in 32 seconds down and basically almost 30 seconds, about 26 or so off of Lotto Soudal and Remco. So immediately you had the DSM team. Malisi is in the lead. And then we go to stage 2. We're just going to knock these out real quick. Hey, Victor, how you doing? Sorry. Yeah, cycling is awesome. By the way, got a nice little Tour de France mug here, courtesy of our buddy. Oh, can't even show it. Courtesy of our buddy Victor. There you go. Thank you, buddy. I'm drinking coffee with it. Anyway, Victor, we're doing the Vuelta. I'm going to try to at least do some stages. I catch up on the beginning part, and you'll be able to see kind of why I haven't been doing it. But anyway, Stage 2, you had Andreas had a little bit of climbing here as a breakaway. Andreas Krohn gets up over Caden Groves. Was it a break? I don't remember actually now. This is the thing. I'm not getting. No, it looks like for the most part, Krohn gets in there, and in the leader's jersey was Piccoli for EF Education. So they already came away with a little bit of a success. Stage 3, page not found. Okay, what just happened here? Okay, let's go. Stage 3. There we go. Going into the results. Stage 3. This is where Remco Evenepoel actually springs his way over the top, and they drop off Piccoli. Remco goes into the yellow or to the red jersey. Vinga goes right there on his wheel. He sprinted there at the bottom. There was a few little gaps coming off. Sepp loses 10 seconds at the end, kind of on the sprint. This is where Sepp might want to be thinking back and saying, little bits here and there. And by the way, at the time he's not thinking that he's going for the overall, so he's just kind of like letting it go. Another team that's come here is UAE. They've been looking good. So Remco gets into the lead. Then they got a sprint stage. Caden Groves comes out on top. He's really the only big sprinter, I would say, here. He comes out on top in stage 4. Man, this Pro Cycling News is really having trouble with their webpage. Okay, try to get back in here. What do we say? Stage 4, stage 5. Caden Groves gets another win. Remco stays in the lead. So you got 2 in a row there by Caden Groves. And then stage 6. And I thought we'll take a look at this one. Sepp Kuss gets off into the break. Dang, this website's having trouble. Gets off into the break. There's a decent climb up the Java Lambre, 100 and what is it, almost 200, 11.1K at 7.8%, with a decent finish up at the top here. And in the break, you have, let's take a look at the Jumbo riders here. Team Jumbo Visma. So Sepp Kuss, Roglic, you have Attila Valter. He's in the break. I think Hessink was in there, and Van Barl was off. Or was it Traknik and Van Barl? Either way, they were drilling it up there and keeping them safe. And basically, when you're watching this stage 6 and you see who's in the break, let's go back to the GC, actually the stage. Let's go all the teams. Lenny Martinez, Roman Bardet, Mikel Landa, Marc Soler, Wout Poels, Rubio Augusto, Christian Rodriguez, Steph Kras, Cepeda for Kadri Rugal, Santiago Butrago, Van Efvelt, De La Cruz, Hugh Carthy, Castro Viejo, Lopez, Emmanuel Bachmann, and that was pretty much the group that was up the road. Okay, in the break. And with that, you take a look and you go, there's only one guy that, if things are going fine, it's going to be a Sepp Kuss day. None of these guys are going to be able to hold his wheel. It's a decent, difficult climb. None of these guys are going to be able to hold his wheel. And he did a great job. He said he felt great. The team worked for him. He waited till like the last, I want to say about 5 kilometers and then just took off. Or was it might have been less than that, and easily started to distance Bardet. He had to bridge up because I think with Lemmy, Rod Martinez, who's just 20 years old, and Roman Bardet and a few others had gone up the road. He bridged to him super quick, went straight through them. And I thought what was interesting here, let me pull this up here, which is if you take a look at the Strava. Now, look, not everyone is on Strava on the tour here. So, but the ones that are, this was Sepp Kuss's time basically up the major climb. Now, the Sepp Kuss comes in here. He gets the win. He doesn't quite take enough over Martinez to go into the red jersey. Lemmy Martinez actually gets that. He's with Roman Bardet. They look pretty strong, but he still puts like 26 seconds. I think he needed like 30 some to get over him. So Sepp isn't in the red, but he's very close to it. And then behind, you have Remco, Roglic, Vingegaard, and they drop. It's Enric Mas. They end up dropping Remco. Remco has a tough time at the bottom, but then kind of revs it up, and he starts picking people off. So at the end, he only loses, I think I want to say 20, 30 seconds, and I'll look at the full official time here, to Roglic and them. Now, remember, Sepp Kuss is in the break. and he's got to do all this work off the front. What I thought was exceptional, him being solo, was actually his time. He put 17:04. That was his time up the climb, and then he ends up losing the time up the climb. I think there was 20 or 30 seconds that Remco loses to Roglic. So the point is, Roglic and Vingegaard go faster on the climb than Remco, obviously, but they also go a little bit faster than Sepp Kuss. But Sepp Kuss puts in a time, I mean, for everyone that has, puts it over Martinez, Remco, which is kind of the one I'm looking here. So he puts in a time faster than Remco. Now, granted, Remco had a bad day, but I believe when Sepp is following wheels, he would have no trouble at all doing the pace that the others had done. He was in the break. He also had to do the work himself up the climb. He breaks away. He does it attacking, and then he goes solo and then does some hand high-fiving up there. Point is, it was a very solid time for Sepp Kuss up the climb himself. Okay, so there it is. The GC, then Sepp is down by 8 seconds. Soler is right on his wheels by about 40-some, and you have your way on back. Remco still moving up a little bit now, had evened up himself with Vingegaard was just, less than 10 seconds behind him. Roglic at 11 seconds behind him on that. That's stage 6. Then we go to stage 7. You can see the profile there. It's pretty much a downhill, and that Soup gets that for the win. He's kind of got I don't know, like a beard that's Greek-like or something. I don't know. It's pretty intense. Oh, thank you, Victor. Yeah, like and subscribe, people. Share the show around. Soup gets the sprint. It was supposed to be a sprint win. Caden Groves had some trouble getting kind of coordinated in there, and the coming down. When you have this, and probably should step back a little bit. So the day that Remco wins, he comes over the top. It's a sprint finish over the top of this. Not a sprint finish, but he's sprinting. He goes over the top of the climb because it's a climbing finish, and right after the finish there's a few hundred feet, and then it takes a turn to the right because there's barriers and you just can't, the road stops there, and there's barriers up there, and Remco decides to come over the line. At least he does the smart thing of posting up after the fact, but then he's posted up and then he's going straight, and then he crashes into the barriers when everyone go, and then he's yelling at everyone, and I'm like, I don't know what to tell you. There's barriers up there. There were people in front of him, sure, like Swan Years, cameramen and such, and he was all mad. But I don't know what the officials could have done, because you see right past that there was car there. You just had to go to the right. That's the way the road was. So Remco is an amazing person. He makes you. I want to like him, but he is so insufferable. It's really tough. And we'll get to another thing here just the next day. I think it's stage 8. Coming in here, this one had a pitch up over the top. And Roglic gets the win on this one over Evenepoel and Ayuso. And this was the next day. Once again, there was a break had been up the road. They had caught the break. Jumbo's flying in here. Sepp Kuss loses just 2 seconds, but he had held on pretty good. Vingegaard's in here, Enric Mas, Juan Ayuso, Almeida, Soler, Poles, those guys are all up there looking good. Landa just loses a bit of time. Lemmy Martinez loses a bit, and this is where Sepp Kuss gets the red jersey. And going over the finish, they come around, and it's perfectly set up. Remco had kind of drilled it into the last few hundred meters going up this climb. Roglic overtakes him and then powers through, and coming across the line, he kind of looks down. There's no one coming by him, so he posts up. This is where Remco freaks out afterwards. You could see the look on his face of stunned. He thought there was a group up the road. Now, he says it could have been my management told me, but I didn't hear it. Could have been, but I thought there was a group up there. And then he goes on to say, I would have won because Roglic's sprint was weak. It was. I'm like, dude, once again, I want to like you, and then you're this one of these biggest dicks. Maybe it's a language thing, but I don't think so. I think look. I first came across him when the Norway World Championships were going on, and he was a junior. And I looked up his stats. He won that race handily to be a world champion. But it had been like some 50-some races he had done that year. He'd won like 55 races. He had won 50 or 57, and he'd won 50. It was a ridiculous conversion rate of doing races and winning. So, and then he is an exceptional pro. I mean, he's got the world championships in the road. He's now got the world championships in the time trial. He's won the Vuelta. He's won Liège. He's won San Sebastian. The guy is clocking it up, and he's really good, but he's also never understood anything but being the guy. So he's kind of got a dick mentality. And he's in the last few days, some of the things he said, and like I said, I want to like him, but just some of the things he says. So, hey, I would have won, but Remco, because Roglic was his sprint wasn't even good. And I'm like, Roglic might not have. He might have kicked again. It looked like he had it won. Okay, next day we come in. There's another mountaintop finish. This one is just more Vuelta stuff where there was rain on the road up to the final climb, and there was dirt and mud, and truck was stuck there earlier, and they're actually worried about that. So they moved the time that was going to be taken down to 2.05 kilometers, like 2 kilometers plus 50 meters down the road. So 2.5. No, not even 2.5. 2.05. So, or maybe that's what it is. I don't know. I'm having a tough time. The point is that it was just 50 meters before the 2 kilometer line, and which is it was 05, I think. And it was also a weird thing because there's a kilometer anyway. So the main break goes up the road. Leonard Kamna destroys everybody that's in that break. He wins it outright. It was really good to see him, Abora. But then from the main group, as they're coming up to the 2 kilometer line, Roglic attacks. And it looks like he's attacking and making a break. But remember, he's only going to ride to the finish line. Now, he rides hard and gets a few second gap to the 2 kilometer line, but they took it right before then. And then it took forever for them to figure it out. In the end, he didn't get any time over. And look, even the times here. See, it's all mixed up because this is the time that then everyone sits up and they go across the finish line. So it shows their time placing across the actual finish line, but then their times are all screwy. Like 3:16 here, Vingegaard, but it's 3:25 to Kuss. So Sepp Kuss lost a little bit. He was struggling to get up and over, and he just got a little bit of a break here between daylight, and so there was a few seconds here. No second time bonus or time differences between those guys. Coming into the time trial, what you have was 200 or 2 minutes something from Sepp Kuss to Remco. That's the big player there. 2:25, I want to say, and then it was like 2:30 to Vingegaard. Let's actually just go back. Going on to stage 9. Let's look at the GC. He has 43 seconds over Soler, which would be trouble. Minute 2 over Lemmy Martinez, probably not a problem. 2:22 to Remco, 2:29 to Landa, not worried about that one. 2:29 to Roglic, 2:33 to Vingegaard, and another one to be kind of concerned of here is Ayuso and Almeida, 2:50, 2:43. This is a decent amount that they let Sepp Kuss get up the road on. Enric Mas, I think Sepp is going to time trial better than that. Also better than Hugh Carthy. So with this in mind, everyone's like, oh, he's going to lose 7 seconds a kilometer. He's going to get blown out. And, I've talked about this before with Sepp Kuss, talking about him being able to hold on to his top 10, even the fact that he doesn't time trial all that bad. When you look at him, and he's had several time trials where he's actually put in time, and he said he's never gone full gas in a time trial, but he's put out times that are similar to some actually good TT riders. So, you're looking at top 20s in the Tour de France, and you're like, okay, well, he's not so bad. Top 6 in, I think it was 6th place in the Giro, like I said. So with that in mind, it wasn't out of contention that he should be able to do something well. And he actually does here. He surprises everybody. Oops, let's go back to the time trial, not today's stage. He surprises everybody, but Ghana comes into the hot seat. He blows everybody apart. The hot seat had been filled previously by Stefan Bessinger, and then a few other guys had kind of clipped in here. But Filippo Ganna put up the big time and then was looking to see who was going to be kind of slotted in second. It's Catania had been up here, but the big Yao Almeida had come in here 50 seconds short. Vlasov put a good time at 52 seconds short. Also Oliveira at minute 12. But one of the big hitters, the first one to come in was Roglic. He puts in 36 seconds down from Filippo Ganna, and the time trials, the time checks had showed he was 10 seconds up on Remco on the first one, or 1 second off. I think they were 10 seconds and 11 seconds down from Filippo Ganna. And then he started to lose 9-10 seconds to Remco as he was coming in. He puts in 36. Remco gets 20 seconds on him, loses 16 seconds to Ghana. Like I said, Joao Almeida, 50 seconds. That's a solid ride. Same with Vlasov. Juan Ayuso with a 1:11 down from Marc Soler, which was in second place. That was a concern because you'd think that he might be able to barnstorm Sepp Kuss and put over on him. But in the end, Vingegaard loses 1:18. He's not quite where he was on the Tour de France, obviously, but which is just over the top of Bessinger, which is EF Education's time trial specialist. Castro Viejo, who's won nothing but time trials in his career, was a 1:24. And then right behind him was Sepp Kuss, 1:29, 13th place. But more importantly, we can take a look here at how you matched up time-wise. So is this the time? There was one you used to be able to do. Let's go to GC. There we go. Time won loss. So Soler puts on 16 seconds to Sepp, but he only loses 1:13 to Remco. He loses 53 to Primoz. He gains a minute on Martinez. He loses 39 to Joao Almeida. He loses 11 seconds to Jonas, 18 to Ayuso, puts on 17 to Mas, loses 37 to Vlasov, and then besides the people that are down here that you don't care about, Castro Viejo, Oliver Nelson, another time trial specialist, or Filippo Ganna. You're putting up time to everybody. So solid work by Sepp Kuss. Not what you would maybe have expected. So then what you have with the time here is 26 seconds over Soler. I think in the long run, Sepp is going to be able to distance him. The concern is those coming up from behind, which is Remco at 1:09. So now Remco is set to have to put 1:09 on one of the best climbers in the world over the next few weeks. Like I said, the best thing Remco has going for him is the fact that he didn't even do a full full Giro this year. He did 6, 7, 8 some stages, got sick, came out, now has been able to prepare. Same with Remco. Roglic put in the whole time, but now he's been able to recover from there. I'm not as worried about Vingegaard. I think Vingegaard might end up turning into a super domestique for this. So let's just take a look here what we have. Then today's stage, it was pretty boring. Harada comes in the win. I'll just say this about Geraint Thomas gets up in a break with Filippo Ganna, and I think they play that wrong. Ganna, if I look back at he's won or got 4th place in San Juan stage down in South America to Remco in a big climbing fiasco or thing that took place. He can do that. He's won a few mountainous stages in a break at I think it was the Giro, the COVID Giro a few years ago. So he can go up the hill, and so he comes into the bottom of the climb and he just puts on the works, destroys everybody. Has Geraint Thomas and Haedo, Gregari, Andreas Krohn, Caicedo, Sanchez, Millard, Prudhomme, a few of these guys, gets rid of everybody else, and then Caicedo comes over the top, tries to attack. Now, Ganna he sits up in a sense. He gets dropped from these guys as they're going back and forth. Suddenly, though, he comes back to the group right before the end, and it's pretty steep. And then Geraint Thomas hits the front, tries to bring his boys, tries to bring Caicedo back. They kind of do. Krohn's up there. In the end, Jesus Harada attacks kind of on a late, steep part, gets a little bit distance on Roman Gregari and Andreas Krohn and Caicedo, and then Geraint Thomas coming in 5th. I think they could have had Filippo Ganna maybe attack at the bottom and seen what he has done, just simply because he's done those kind of things before. Geraint Thomas said he didn't have good legs, but they thought this was maybe the best. Probably was. Either way, I just didn't. It's the good old days. The race. It was not your, the Tourmalet or something like this, where you're going to just destroy everybody with the distance and the climb. So they needed a little bit different tactics, and just didn't quite work out. So let's go into what we have coming up the next few days. Tomorrow, it's going to be likely a sprinting stage. I mean, there's a little bit of a climb here in the middle. There's a bonus, and then it's all downhill. You should be able to see that, or a breakaway. And by the way, coming into today, the way that they had it, where the whole GC just sits up, there was nothing that really happened. Remco kind of attacked right near the end, and Sepp was boom on his wheel. Once again, I think that just plays into the Sepp Kuss cards, because it's just one less day that you haven't put him under pressure. One less day for him and the team to try to figure out what's going on. So it was just Sepp Kuss put out a lot of effort that he's not used to yesterday in the time trial. And as he said, he goes, look, I started to hurt. And typically I'm just like, I just back it off. It's a time trial. Nope, he didn't do it. He pushed through it and he did well. One more day that he can recover from that. We've seen that with what's his name? Soudal's teammate, Julian Alaphilippe a few years ago, where he destroyed everybody in the time trial on the Tour de France. And then the next day he can't handle it. So thanks for live streaming, Tyler Yonke. You're welcome, Victor. So I think it plays into the fact it's just one less day that Remco didn't take advantage, because once again, you've got a fatigue factor that might play into it for Sepp, which is the 3 Grand Tours. The more you hit him, the more he might start to be chipping away. You saw a few little cracks in his armor, but I think those are different kind of races. Steep little finishes like today would have been, you might have put him in and got a few seconds out of him. Whereas when you have in stages that it's like the Tourmalet and what we're going to see, the Angliru, I just don't know that that's going to be, much to your advantage. So that's tomorrow. Then we got Formigal over the Tourmalet. This is going to be a big one. They stop here at the Portelet. I mean, that goes immediately. It's like out of the box at Cat 3. And then they do an HC over there. Bisque, this is very Tour de France-y. Then the Spandales, and then up the Tourmalet to finish it in France. Yeah. So this was Formigal. Formigal was the finish, I think, a few years ago. Why don't I say 2016, where it was a super short stage at the Vuelta. Chris Froome is in the lead, and everybody hits him immediately, and he loses the Tour de France, or the Vuelta that year, due to the fact that they stole a bunch of time from him. A super short stage. I'm pretty sure that was Formigal. We can double check that. But if someone wants to go into corrections from me and verify, that'd be great. I think it was 2016 now. Which meant who won? I don't know. Was it a Yates? Was it Chavez? Someone like that. Then you get the next day here, another climb up the La Beluga. Got an HC as well. 2 of them, 2 HCs, and then a Cat 1 finish. So this will be, look, this weekend's going to be great watching. Stage 15, not so much. So let's go back here. What's today? Today is stage 11. This is Wednesday. Stage 12, Thursday, stage 13, Friday. So Friday is going to be the Tourmalet, and then Saturday, there you go. So Saturday, and then Sunday, not so much. I mean, this is going to be a breakaway. Then it'll be a rest day. Then you're going to come in here right after the rest day. It's much like today's stage, where it's nothing, and then 4.9 kilometers, 8.8, and that might, depending on what happens over the weekend, that might be a nothing or a breakaway day. Then the Angliru. So the Angliru is going to come in here on a week from today, Wednesday. And that one, once again, I reference back to the 2020 stage where Sepp Kuss was just babying Roglic all the way up that climb. Sepp was fine. He lost 23 seconds, I think, on the day to Hugh Carthy with Roglic, but looked perfectly well in control. So I expect to see more good stuff out of him. So you got the Angliru on the Wednesday. Then you got, this is ridiculous. This Thursday, Delanars, I know they've done that one before, and that's 8.3 at 8.5, but you got a Cat 1 that's brutal before that, 10.3%. Cat 3 at 9.4, an 8.5 Cat 1, a Cat 2. That's a brutal day a week from Thursday. Then you're going to get Friday, it's a sprint stage. Saturday, some mountains. It's still a chance. I mean, look at this one. A 3, 3, 3, 3, 3. That's 5 threes, and then not even halfway through. And then 3, 3, 3, 3, 3. Is it a circuit? Maybe it's a circuit. That's it might be a circuit race there, but that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 Cat 3s. So it looks like it's are they going over the same one? I don't think it I don't see them repeated. So maybe there's Lorenzo, I don't know. Yeah, I can't really tell. Doesn't look like it. So that's going to be brutal. That's Saturday, and then Sunday comes in for the last one. Boom, boom, boom. Wow, that's I'm trying to play this song here, and I don't think it's really going through. All right, well, everybody, that's what I have today. So we'll try to do a few of these, depending on how my week is, depending on how my back is. Do a few little excuse me, the Filo podcast for you. Sepp Kuss, though, I think there's a good chance that he's going to do well. It will be, once again, we got to go through a few days, see how he's going. And once again, I think the problem might be that it comes into the fact that he's done 3 Grand Tours. But he said already, I feel better than I have all year. Pretty great to see. Okay, thanks everybody. See you. Bye.
All right, Gold Member. Don't play the laughing boy. There are only 2 things I can't stand in this world. People who are intolerant of other people's cultures and the Dutch.
What?